So now I'm going to switch to pressure flaking. Pressure flaking means you use the tip of this antler and you're going to press everywhere a platform comes down. You're going to press and press in and down into the leather pad. Try to take a flake off this way. Now for this, I hold it basically the palm of my hand, and let's start with this one. When you hear that snapping sound, that's good. So I'm going along the whole edge. I'll flip it over in just a second, but I'm on a roll. Okay, what that's done is it's started to make a sharp edge, a serrated edge. Now sometimes driving this into the palm of your hand doesn't work that well because your palm squishes in and it moves. So I'm going to set a log up here with a piece of leather on it. I'm going to put my piece on it like that, and that'll give me a lot more of a solid, unmoving surface so that the flakes will drive in. I'm going to switch back to my hammerstone just to take off this thin edge. Just breaking it. Starting to make it into a triangle shape. Now I've got a thick edge that I can pressure flake into instead of that feather edge. Okay, once you get that one little notch started, the rest will come out next to it like taking the individual kernels off a cob of corn. When you get that release cut, see, now the next one went better, and the next one, and the next one. So you see I'm working that edge and get rid of the little chips. So I'm definitely thinning it out. All right, this is really coming in pretty nicely for using primitive techniques. I'm just going to keep going around. I'll come back in just a minute. Okay, it's not super pretty, but this is starting to look a lot like a lot of the artifacts you might find. I'm just going to keep working around this edge. See how this dips down? So now I'm going to crush it down this way, bring the edge up more towards the middle. Okay, here's a close-up showing again, breaking down and in, just little tiny flakes. See how small those little flakes are? And what I'm trying to do is straighten up my center line. So everywhere it dips down, I'll go ahead and do that. Everywhere it dips up, I'll go ahead and adjust that. So for example, you see the very tip, how it's kind of off center line? And put it in here. Just touch the tip. Just touch it up, just a little bit. Not much force at all. And then, yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it this way, break the little flakes off this way. Try to make it a sharp end. Oh yeah. It gets easier. Once you thin it and you start getting a center line, it really does get easier to work. Hey, now we're talking, right? So you see I've got a bulge on this side right here. Let me go ahead and work that. There's no doubt about it, this is the hardest type of flint knapping. It's just a stone and an antler, maybe a piece of leather. I'm probably going a little too narrow on this. Remember, you do want cutting width on an arrowhead. So you know, I should probably stop there. And you can notch this or not notch it. This would probably slip in pretty easily, just like that. And if you think about it, all it's got to do is get into the animal, and then if the tip breaks off from the shaft, that's fine. Let this thing stay inside the animal. All right, what's that? You want me to show you how to notch? Well, I don't have a super sharp antler. All I've got is this. You could grind this down and make it sharper, but I can probably make a notch in here on each side. All right, that's about as good of a notch as you can make with an antler this size. You would have to thin the tip of the antler down to make a more narrow notch. But, okay, so this arrowhead is done. I put a notch on each side. It's a little thick as far as this part is thick, and I would like it a little wider this way. However, if you put this on an arrow, right, you put it on a shaft, and you mount that in there, you've got a very nice point for small game or large game. If you shoot enough of them into the animal, if you've got a tribe, shoot a bunch of these into an animal. Let me put it this way, I wouldn't want to get shot by this, would you? Y'all are in for a treat. Here's what I did. I put that little arrowhead on a homemade arrow with turkey tail fletching, and this is river cane from my property. I'm going to actually show you that it works just fine for penetration and sharpness. I'm going to go ahead and shoot into a butternut squash. All right, shot one, arrowhead is fine. Let me go ahead and reset. All right, it moved a little bit, but definitely took a big chunk out of that, didn't it? Let's try one more time. All right, I'd say that definitely works. So I'm not worried about it being sharp or powerful. I mean, look at that. That would totally take out game. So I call that a success. Again, here's the arrowhead I just made. Several shots through a squash into a target, no damage, still super sharp, absolutely fine. Blew the heck out of this squash. Yeah, squash for dinner.